Have you ever wondered why no one from the royal family ever graduates from university as a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer? Have you ever wondered why all members of the British royal family always study some form of history? That's all they do in university. Some of them, it might even be just the history of art, but history it will be. Because if you do not know your place in history, if you do not understand where you have emerged from and why it is important that you take your place in a current time, you will easily be moved around by just anybody if you do not know your place in history. Secondly, if you do not know what has happened before in history, history, as they say, will repeat itself. And it can repeat itself over and over and over again. It never gets tired. So let's take the story of Nigeria. What in Nigeria's history keeps repeating itself? Because there are many things today as they were from the beginning of Nigeria. Take, for example, the issue of the struggle over resources in Nigeria. We've always had struggles over resources. Communal clashes have always been over resources. And it's not just Nigeria, it's most countries. The battles that they fight usually are over resources. Take, for example, the Niger Delta issue. Some people think it's just a group of young boys who are disgruntled, who are kidnapping people, destroying infrastructure, fighting and using violence against the state. Did you know that when it was still ruled by company, before Lord Lugard amalgamated North and South Nigeria, before we had direct rule in southern Nigeria by the colonial masters, did you know that there was a time the Royal Niger Company had the right to impose import and export duties on the Niger River? And what did they do with that right, that royal charter that they received? They received it in order to be able to keep the French and the Germans out. But unfortunately, they were also charging the people of Brass Kingdom. So the Brass people who couldn't farm because their land was not suitable for it would normally trade with the people in the hinterland for their needs. So they would sell fish, they would sell salt and exchange it for what they needed. So the Royal Niger Company started to charge them export duties for taking out their fish and salt and import duties for bringing things from the hinterland, which they could not afford because it was set at a level to ward off the French and the Germans. And unable to trade, they began to starve. After a while, the people of Brass thought to themselves, well, if we stay here, we die. If we go after this Royal Niger Company, well, the worst that can happen is that we die. So they went up to the Royal Niger Company at a place called Akassa. They launched an attack against the company. They destroyed and vandalized all the equipment they found there. They took the staff of the Royal Niger Company hostage, and they took them back to their base, and they carted off as much resources as they were able to get. And in the end, they understood that actually if they killed these people and in a ritual cooked them and ate them, that it could also help to ward off smallpox at the time. So you found that kind of behavior happening, I'm talking before 1914. This had already happened in Nigeria. Is it a surprise then that there's something that has triggered off the behavior of people today, that they still go after those who are perceived as oppressing them? And in the same way, they try to get redress and they escalate the issue through violence, through kidnapping, and so on. As it was in the beginning, so it is now.